It is undeniable that the offensive attack under interim head coach Doug Meacham looks significantly better, meaning quarterback Zane Flores also looked much better. But adding the wrinkle of Sam Jackson back there with the ability to throw naturally was something that we need to see more and more and more of.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your top stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more, especially right now when new customers can bet just $5. If it's a winner, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use all across the app. Make sure that you download the app today. Meanwhile, we'll get to slide right into this conversation of the quarterback play against the Baylor Bears, primarily behind Zane Flores, was significantly better. Did he miss some throws? Yes. Did he miss some wide open dudes at times? Yes. But he seemingly looked much more comfortable, and he felt like he was getting in a rhythm as the game progressed. And the added packages of Trent Howland at Wildcat, or even quote-unquote Sam Jackson at Wildcat, seemingly allowed Zane Flores to get a little bit more comfortable. So now that we've seen this and we've put it on film, Sam Jackson throws an adequate football, and as Doug Meacham just mentioned in his press conference earlier today, Sam Jackson is a tried-and-true quarterback that just so happens to be playing wide receiver. He recruited Sam Jackson to play quarterback at TCU. We obviously got to witness that when they came to Stillwater, and Sam Jackson diced us up here and there for some yardage. And as Doug Meacham mentioned, if he wouldn't have gotten hurt at Cal, Sam Jackson might still be the starting quarterback at Cal today. He easily probably would have been the starting quarterback at Cal throughout the course of the season because he started the first 5 games before he had the injury. Then he goes to Auburn, and they decide to make him a wide receiver. We get him as a wide receiver, and we're very grateful for that. We got to see him on the return game early on in the season. We got to see him a little bit as a slot receiver. Now we get to see him shine, a.k.a. he was able to ball out a little bit against Baylor simply because of the wrinkle and the respect factor. Whenever Sam Jackson rolls out, is he going to run? Probably, yeah. But you do have to respect the fact that he can throw, he will throw, and if he does get adequate time and a good space for his wide receiver, Sam Jackson can throw the ball like a power 4 starting quarterback because he was one. So instead of just wrinkling in some extra packages, why not just give him more legit snaps at QB2? It's the same conversation we had coming into the season. If Zane Flores were to have won the job, to some degree, it wouldn't have mattered because Haas Haney is so dynamic. He's so athletic. He's so fast that even if Zane was going to be the tried and true QB1, the likelihood of Haas Haney getting a significant number of snaps every single game was extremely high, which is why we were very high on Haas Haney. Not only, having him on the show was big, but his versatility was going to be something we had to utilize. We've been hooting and hollering and screaming into the void, a.k.a. this microphone, about Sam Jackson all season. Give us more backfield packages with Sam Jackson, with Gavin Freeman, with Trent Howland, with Sesi Vailahe. Give us some different packages in the backfield, even if Haas Haney was 100% healthy. I mean, just a backfield package of Haas Haney, Zane Flores, and Sam Jackson the fifth. What are defenses going to do? What are they going to look at? What are they going to key off of? That wrinkle in and of itself would probably have added an additional layer that the defense had to pay attention to and respect, but we never implemented that. And Doug Meacham mentioned in today's press conference, some of the things you saw with Sam Jackson, we've put into the work week, but it's never actually come up in the game plan for it to be utilized. We finally got to see some of it. And as Doug Meacham mentioned, the game plan for Baylor was pretty much already put together when the whole Gundy stuff came out. So were they going to add some wrinkles? For sure. But some of the things that they called on were things that they kind of implemented throughout the course of the first few weeks anyways. Now that we have an entire full week for Doug Meacham and this offense, could we please, pretty please, dear 8-pound, 11-ounce baby Jesus, get some more Sam Jackson at quarterback. Sometimes that takes away from the rhythm of the starting quarterback. It didn't seem to affect Zane Flores. If anything, it appeared as though it allowed Zane Flores to play a little bit looser. And you got to think about it. From a pressure perspective, Zane Flores is under a ton of pressure. Zane Flores hasn't been playing enough in big-time ball games to likely be super comfortable yet. So on a 4th and 1, it could be possible that Zane Flores even looks at the concept of a Trent Howland coming in or Sam Jackson coming in on a 4th and 2, 4th and 1 style of scenario as a benefit. Because if Sam Jackson or Trent Howland gets that first down, what does that do for Zane? It gives Zane more snaps on the field, because if they do get the first down, he's likely going right back in. And that's partially why I think you saw Zane get more of a rhythm as the game progressed, because he realized this whole thing's not all on me. I do have some help. So I can make some mistakes here and there, and then I know that guys like Sam Jackson and Trent Howland can come in and help me get back on track, get back into a rhythm, get back into the flow of games play. Sometimes it goes the other way, but in this particular ball game, it looked like Zane Flores actually was able to relax a little bit, to calm down and play a little more stress-free, because in tight situations, he knew he actually had some dudes that could help him in a tight spot. So anytime we have those added packages, whether it be Wildcat or not, as Meacham mentioned, it's not really a true Wildcat with Sam Jackson back there, because he's a dude that can sling the rock. I mean, one of the passes he threw was a gem. It was a tight spiral. He hit the guy in stride. I mean, heck, even Trent Howland's pass was kind of going towards the sideline. He threw a little bit against his body, but he threw a pretty pass. So when your backup running back and your backup slot receiver have the ability to sling the pigskin adequately, and you see that it visibly relieves some of the stress off of Zane, why not implement more of it? Like, give us some more packages with Sam Jackson the fifth, because again, he's not your traditional gadget guy. Yeah, you have to respect the fact that more often than not, if Sam Jackson has the ball in the backfield, it's probably going to go outside. There's probably going to be an option to pass, but more often than not, he's going to tuck it and run. That's great. And he has the speed and the elusivity to make something happen when he does take off. But the fact that you have to respect his passing is even more evident now. So as Arizona gets ready for Oklahoma State, instead of, mentioning, hey, guys, we need to spend 5-10 minutes on this Sam Jackson dude, because if he does have the ball, we have to respect the fact that he can pass. Instead of that, now it's something that they actually have to game plan a little bit more heavily for. So now instead of saying, hey, we have to pay attention when Sam Jackson's in the backfield, now they have to instead spend more than 5-10 minutes on it. They got to spend a whole half a day on it now. Because if Sam Jackson is back there, if you're a defensive back, you cannot just pin your ears back and come get him on the sideline. Because if you do that and you leave somebody open, he can drop dimes. There's more than enough film of Sam Jackson the fifth playing Pac-12, Big 12 football, throwing the rock. I mean, heck, even Auburn would have him, get a reverse, and he would be running out like he was going to throw. So surely even Auburn put some of that into the packaging. Whether he did throw, didn't, I know he did a couple like shovel option pitches at Auburn. But everywhere he's been, they've been at least curious at the implementation of him being a Wildcat guy, because defenses that have coordinators that do their due diligence understand that Sam Jackson is a little bit more than a slot receiver. He's a little bit more than a returner. We got to see glimpses of it against Baylor, and I think all of us saw more than enough to say we need more. Does he necessarily need to be the official quote-unquote QB2? Maybe, maybe not. But it's hard to make the argument otherwise. It's hard not to look at the rest of the season and say, well, shouldn't Sam Jackson be taking the QB2 snaps? Isn't it plausible to now assume that Sam Jackson might even be able to get a few QB1 snaps here and there. Zane looked better. Zane looked more poised, more comfortable, more confident, more in control, especially as the game progressed. But I don't think it's a coincidence that we implemented more Trent Howland packages, more Sam Jackson packages, Wildcat or not. It numerically gives us a little bit of an advantage. It prevents the defense from just simply pinning their ears back and coming after whomever is back there. So we got to see a little bit of it. Doug Meacham, give us more of it. Give us more Sam Jackson as QB2. You can call it Wildcat. You can call it whatever you want. But he needs to be more involved in the offense. And I don't even think it's crazy that he drops back traditionally and throws a couple passes here and there to add another layer of what the defense has to prepare for. Speaking of being prepared, we all need to be prepared to tough it out through the season and find the energy that'll allow us to get there. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine and 17 bold flavors. So get rid of the traditional caffeine options and get in good with 5-hour energy shots. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce coffee. Plus, it also has B vitamins and nutrients inside of it without the sugar, which kind of alleviates the crazy crashes. What you're going to live the most is that they're super simplistic and they're portable and you can take them anywhere. They have big taste and a tiny shot that you can take with you to games, golfing events, driving, outings. It doesn't matter. Whenever you need that boost, 5-hour energy is here for you. If you've been eyeing the new flavors or you want to keep it pretty traditional, 5-hour energy is the perfect thing for you. You're going to love how fast they kick in. And again, with the sugar-free, you don't have to worry about the crazy crashes later. So get rid of the boring, flavorless caffeine. It is time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold enough to try something new in-store or online at www.5hourenergy.com, or you can head on over to Amazon today. Get your energy game kicked up a lot with all of the new flavors at 5-hour energy. All right, now we need to slide into Royal Cappel. You know, this makes my heart happy. Because we've been hooting and hollering about Royal, phenomenal guest of the show. His dad does some remarkable stuff in the recruiting landscape that is not only admirable, but it's respectable. Because of that, it's not a surprise that Royal Cappel was going to be the freshman that played the most, right? We covered how it seemed like throughout fall camp that Royal Cappel was likely the only freshman that was guaranteed to play above the 4-game minimum. So much so that we were trying him at different options. We were trying him at different packages. We were trying him in different fakes, reverses, things of that nature. So maybe we were trying to identify where does Royal Cappel fit into the game plan the most, but it was very evident pretty early on that we have to find some way to squeeze Royal Cappel on the football field. This was his first he's gotten to play all season, but as far as targets and looking to accomplish something and being part of the game plan and being part of the reads, this was his kind of breakout performance. And he had a catch early on in the game that our receivers have been dropping this season. It's okay to call a spade a spade. It's also okay to admit that it was nice to see Shamar Rigby not only get his shine, but to have an almost 90-yard day because of it. We need more of that. The beauty of this, not only for Royal Cappel, but also for Shamar Rigby, is Shamar Rigby was a true freshman last year at Purdue, and he was too good to not play. So last season, Shamar Rigby was in a very comparable spot to where Royal Cappel is right now. Maybe he's not super high up on the depth chart all the time, but he's way too talented not to be on the field. He's been able to fight through the adversity and make a differentiation between being hurt and being injured. He's learned the playbook. He does the extra stuff. So Purdue had to find ways, creativity-wise, to get Shamar Rigby on the field this previous season. Now we're seeing something very comparable in Stillwater with Royal Cappel, and now Shamar Rigby gets to do a little bit more. Was Christian Fitzpatrick coming over from Marshall supposed to be a very, very big deal? 100% yes. He was supposed to be the Tay Martin, Justin Blackman, Des Bryant kind of guy that you could bracket cover, and he was still going to come down with the ball. If you one-on-one press manned him, you were going to get absolutely destroyed. Shamar Rigby got to take that mantle, and he ran with it. So now we understand that Shamar Rigby needs to factor into the game plan more. I love G Freaky Gavin Freeman, love what he can do with the ball. But now that Sam Jackson is doing some more stuff in the backfield, we should see more Royal Cappel. The fact that, we've seen glimpses of him throughout the course of the season, and we finally got to see it on display. He had a couple catches that we haven't had a lot of this year. And I don't think Terrell Davis should get lost in the shuffle as well. He had a pretty good ball game. The first half, he was clearly somebody that we had identified as an individual we need to get the ball to. And as the game progressed, Shamar Rigby made the most of his opportunities. Royal Cappel definitely earned more opportunities. It's an accentuation, in my opinion, of the fact that we're not devoid of talent. Did we likely go out in the transfer portal and pay some dues that we shouldn't have? Yeah, for sure. And we're about to talk about that in segment 3. But it is good to see that Doug Meacham has clearly identified early on some of the cornerstone pieces for us to be successful in this next season. And you know what? You also got to tip your cap to Doug Meacham. Would Doug Meacham love to be the head coach at Oklahoma State? Probably, yeah. I mean, he seems to be out there like a kid in a candy store. He's doing remarkable in interviews. He's given us details that Mike Gundy would have never given us, i.e. the Markel Samuel stuff. He's pretty transparent with how things are going, very open with the Clint Bowen thing and the relationship with Banks Bowen and the dynamics there being pretty interesting. The injuries, the results, Sam Jackson having a considerably different capability than most of your traditional Wildcat dudes. This is all great stuff. I think Clint Bowen handled his interview remarkably well. But guys, Royal Cappel coming in and being ready for this moment, it's not a surprise. Make sure you go check out On Impact Recruiting Services, what they have going. They were setting Royal Cappel up for this kind of opportunity. So, and we knew it when he was on the show. He was going to come in more prepared than most everybody else. He had an understanding of how the recruiting process went a little bit deeper than most everybody else. So the conversational pieces he was having with coaches probably meant a little bit more to him. He was able to dissect what he needed to do to have playing time pretty early on because of the services that his dad provides. So Royal Cappel is definitely somebody that we need to rally around in the future. If we're looking at guys that are isolated to be part of the Cowboy culture moving forward, I think we saw most of them in this previous ball game against Baylor. You got to have Royal Cappel on board. You got to have Shamar Rigby on board. And I think we all can agree you need to have Hot Haney on board. Rodney Fields. Trent Howland. Trent Howland still has a lot of gas in the tank. You got to appreciate what Doug Meacham's doing. And we got to appreciate the fact that he's not afraid to put a true freshman out on the field and say, go do what you need to do, young man. You are now a peacock. I'm going to let you fly. Royal Cappel finally got his opportunity to fly. I think the same could be said about Shamar Rigby. And they showed up. They showed out. They bailed Zane Flores out in a couple of instances. They made Zane Flores look really good in a couple of instances. Trent Howland looked good because of the adequacy at the wide receiver position. Sam Jackson, the fifth, being a wide receiver / quarterback himself, probably got a boost simply because the guys out on the field were invested a little bit heavier. I'm not saying that the Cowboy culture is going to take back over, but there seemed to be clearly an indication that some of the guys who played the most the first 3 games or even started the first 3 games, they didn't even really see the field at all. And instead, we got to see the Royal Cappels and the Shamar Rigbys of the world and the Trent Howlands finally get their big opportunities, and they took advantage of them. They capitalized. They showed that, hey, I probably should have been playing more all season, but now that I'm in this role and getting this opportunity, I'm going to make the most of it. That's what it's about. If you're a backup dude and you keep grinding, you keep showing up on time, you keep doing what you're supposed to, you keep ingratiating yourself with the locker room and the film room and the coaching staff, eventually you're probably going to get an opportunity. Once you get that opportunity, you have to seize the moment. You have to make the most of it. The guys like Royal Cappel and Armstrong Nodum and Shamar Rigby, I think they were able to do just that. Capitalize on their moment and show the fan base, these are the dudes we need to rock with moving forward. We need more of the Josh Fords and the Royal Cappels and the Armstrong Nodums and the Parker Robertsons and the Gunnar Wilsons. We need these dudes, in my opinion, for Oklahoma State to have a chance to keep the foundational building blocks of what Mike Gundy built, which was that Cowboy culture, that blue-collar work ethic, that somehow, for some reason, you can probably blame NIL in the portal, we got away from that. We tried to put a really, really fancy emergency duct tape style Band-Aid on what some of the glaring holes were. And then the guys that were seemingly getting lost in the sauce, now they're getting rewarded. Now they're getting opportunities. And thank the heavens, they're largely all taking advantage of it, which is why we're excited about the rest of the football season. You also need to get excited about QO, because if you're looking for the tools that are going to help you manage a business better, the answer is QO, formerly known as Open Phone. It's the time for great business opportunities and phone systems to have an emergence. Right? You've heard us talk about this before when it was Open Phone, and this is why it still matters. Every missed phone call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. QO is the number one business phone system that streamlines customer communications, and it works through an app on your phone or computer. Super simplistic. So no more carrying multiple phones or relying on a landline. You're going to love how QO, formerly known as Open Phone, lets your team share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like a shared inbox, so no customer gets left hanging. Their built-in AI agent is a game changer that can answer after-hours calls, capture leads, and keep business moving forward, even when you're all off the clock. Whether you're a solo operator juggling multiple things or you're part of a larger team, QO makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. See what over 90,000 businesses trust QO, formerly known as Open Phone. Get started free and also get 20% off your first 6 months at QO.com/LockedOnCollege. That is QUO.com/LockedOnCollege. If you've got an existing number with another service, QO will port them over at no extra charge. QO means no more missed calls, no more missed customers, which means no more missed opportunities for your business. Last but not least, FanDuel is here to remind you NFL season is here, and FanDuel is giving you a cannot-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if it's a winner. All you have to do is pick a bet, put down your $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 to use in bonus bets all across the app. It makes watching football much more exciting because your investment level is that much higher. It's a little bit more than just watching the game because now you have something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better for you with the possibility of capitalization in your pocketbook. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com today to download the FanDuel app and get started. Make sure that you go visit FanDuel.com, download that up, play that $5 hauler to get your $300 back in bonus bets if your first $5 hauler is a winner with FanDuel. All righty, y'all. We've had a couple more names that have popped in the portal, and the last episode, Wet made a correction in the live chat, which I appreciate that. Jabari Thornton plays DB, but he was likely to play a wide receiver at Oklahoma State, so that was a good correction on his part. So Jabari Thornton's in the portal. Dylan Smith is in the portal. Now DeAndre Boykins is in the portal. You know, we've seen a lot of Dylan Smith. He's had a couple pretty cool moments. I think if you go back and look at that tackle over Drake Stoops to basically seal the Bedlam W, very, very big deal. He's had some picks. He's had some big plays. He had a pick to start the season when Jacoby Oliphant got in the face of the quarterback for UTM. And he entered the transfer portal. I think the fact that Greg Brown also is leaving kind of accentuates that there may have been a little bit of a deeper connection there. I think you do have to take into consideration that Dylan Smith does go back before Mike Gundy. So he was here when Greg Brown was an analyst. He was here when Greg Brown got promoted. And maybe Greg Brown feels some type of way about the Clint Bowen situation or the Todd Grantham situation. And maybe he had conversations with Dylan Smith. Who cares? Does it stink to lose Dylan Smith? Yes. But as we discussed earlier, it'll be pretty telling what names enter the portal pretty early on, because not all of them are going to be part of the difficulties that were transpiring in the locker room. Not all of them are going to be part of the NIL. I want to talk about Julian Truck's crew. But more often than not, when you look at guys like DeAndre Boykin and Jalen Davies and Michael Diatta, massive names from UCLA, and they haven't seen him play. For Jalen Davies, DeAndre Boykin from North Carolina, haven't really got to see him play. Michael Diatta, a big-time acquisition out of Virginia, don't really get to see him play. We do get to see Demarion Thomas, but, you know, what are the results, right? We go out and get him from Vanderbilt. J.K. Johnson stole him from LSU. He's been playing, but he has not been starting over somebody like a Cale Smith. No disrespect for Cale Smith, but like what are we doing, right? And here's the deal. Maybe Cale Smith is much like Parker Robertson. And if that's the case, then so be it. I love it. Give me more of it, even if we are susceptible to some things. But if Cale Smith is one of those Parker Robertson kind of guys, Gunnar Wilson kind of guys, that's never late, that does the extra work, that does the extra film, that does the extra lifting, that does the note-taking and stays late to ask coaches questions. If Cale Smith is one of those dudes, then by all means, let him do his thing. But if he's not, like, why'd we pay the Jalen Davies of the world? Why'd we pay DeAndre Boykins of the world? You know, why'd we go spend all of this NIL money on guys that either weren't going to play or weren't going to buy into the culture, or maybe they were problematic at their last spot? I will say I did expect to see more Mordecai McDaniel this season, being a Todd Grantham Florida-level dude. He's seemingly one of those old-school veterans that were brought in to help with the verbiage and help understanding of what the coaching staff is looking for, predicated upon what they did at the previous stops. But he really got his first significant playing time against Baylor, and he showed out. David Kabongo showed out. Armstrong Nodum showed out. So when we're seeing some of these names enter the portal, it is possible that it tells a story. And it might tell a story of some of the guys that maybe weren't buying in to the Cowboy culture. Maybe they weren't buying in to how things are supposed to be conducted. Maybe they weren't buying into what they were making from NIL. If you're making a certain amount of money, you're supposed to be starting, right? If you're making a little less amount of money than that, maybe you aren't supposed to be starting. But if we brought you in from a North Carolina or a UCLA or an LSU or Ohio State, you're probably supposed to be on the field a significant amount. So if you're one of these big-time transfers that we were able to bring in and you don't play and you haven't played, maybe hang it out. Maybe hang tough. Or maybe it just wasn't ever a good fit. So, again, let's pay attention to the portal names that enter. But when you're seeing guys like DeAndre Boykin, it's pretty easy to take the leap of, well, obviously something hasn't been clicking for him in Stillwater, so this makes sense. Like Jalen Davies had a really, really good last couple seasons at UCLA. So whatever we're paying him, if he were to be playing, it would probably be well worth it. But he hasn't played. Is it a Cowboy culture problem? Is it a, lack of accountability problem? Is it an injuries problem? Not 100% sure, but I just want us to relax a bit because, again, These coaches are going around individually talking to players and giving them the sales pitch as to why you should stay or why you should go ahead and enter the portal. And likely, the guys that are not entering the portal right now are the ones being told, hold up, hold on, wait a second, give us a couple weeks, give us 20 days or so, see if we can't show you why this is the right spot. But there's going to be some guys that were never a right culture fit. They were never buying in the way they're supposed to. They were never talking about the right things in the locker room. Some of those dudes you probably do want to get out of the way. So that way, you can pay the Parker Robertsons and the Ike Essenwoons and the Royal Cappels and the Shamar Rigbys. You can pay those dudes more money. If you're getting rid of the players that were making top dollar or were going to make top dollar and they're not fitting in or they're not even flipping playing, then yeah, those are the guys that you probably do get rid of now. So those are probably more often than not always, but most of the names we see are probably going to be those dudes that were told, hey, it's not working out for whatever reason. No love lost, but, let's clear some room together. So if you're seeing a bunch of the hardcore Cowboy culture guys like the Josh Fords and the Rodney Fields, if you see them in the portal in the next 10, 15, 20 days, then okay, yeah, we might have some problems. But if you're seeing the guys that we brought over from big-time Power 4 schools that barely play, or don't play at all, or probably play way too much, if you see them start to enter the portal, that's probably not always a bad thing. That might be proof that we're taking this thing a little bit more seriously. And the merit-based reward system might be coming to fruition right before our very eyes. Alrighty, y'all. So we're going to have this one right here. As always, I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you liked it. Dislike if you didn't. That's okay. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm podcasting people out there. You're everything. Without you, this would not work. It wouldn't be anything. So I appreciate what you do. Do me a favor. Go do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave some more reviews. Alrighty, y'all. Later, my taters.